Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the school committee meeting of November 28th, 2016. First on tonight's agenda, we need to approve accept two sets of minutes, one from the meeting of October 24th, 2016, and the minutes from the meeting of November 14th, 2016.
Two motions.
Two motions?
Again, we're going to have to table the 24th again, because you and I both weren't here.
I was here.
Oh, you weren't here either. Right.
So Liz isn't here again.
Right.
Okay.
We will have to table
You're
it.
right. There's no
We
doubt.
need to table the 24th and
Yep.
make a motion to approve the 14th.
Motion, second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
That's a vote. Thank you. Under communications, Boston University flyer distribution about the summer reading skills program. Dr. Cron?
I highly recommend people take advantage of any summer reading work that they can find. Looks like an excellent program.
Motion.
Do we have a second? All those in favor? Aye, that's a vote. Thank you. And under audience, we do have some folks from Rockland Youth Soccer tonight. Dr. Cron, would you like to introduce them?
Yes. You actually are on the agenda
We're
for
going to take them
late.
in audience first, or when they're on the agenda?
No, I think we're going
Oh,
to,
I'm
they're
sorry,
on
I'm
the
skipping ahead.
agenda,
Okay, They
yeah.
are on the agenda.
Yeah, they're on
Yeah.
the agenda.
Okay, so I know you said you'd wanted to skip over superintendent's reports a little bit later on. So under reports, we have financial reports for October, and we have 5 reports. One from the school department, one from the high school student activities, one from the middle school student activities, one from the cafeteria, and one from the daycare. I'll entertain 5 motions.
5 motions.
I have a question. On the Rockland High School student activities accounts, Colleen, you know what I'm going to ask, but there's no note on here to say why.
Cheerleaders. I have a note here that says that, it's from the Jane Ellis, Secretary of the Rockland High School, that the cash was received the next day and it is in the account.
Okay.
5 seconds.
All those in favor? Aye. That's a vote. Thank you. Next on tonight's agenda are the monthly reports for September and October. We have 18 from Art, Athletic Department, Computer Technology, Daycare, Deans, English 5 to 8, English 9 to 12, Family Computer Science, Consumer Science, Math 5 to 8, Math 9 to 12, Music, Physical Education, TV radio station, Science, Social Studies, Special Education, Middle School, and Foreign Language. I'll entertain 18 motions.
Second.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
just a couple of things. I'm reading these reports, and maybe it's just me, but I see more vigor here than I have seen in a while. There's a lot going on. I'm particularly impressed with the art program and the music program. I've never seen a report from the music department such as the one we've got in this package. The art program, there seems to be an awful lot going on at all levels. Computer technology, that interested me for the reasons of cost and the 5 years of existence of our equipment. And I wonder if it would be possible, and I'm anxious to see what the rest of the committee would think, of somehow sharing this report with the Finance Committee. They need to see something coming from the horse's mouth, if you will, the head of that department, as to the pressures that he is under and the way that he is working with the town's money to get the most out of every dollar that he can, doing his own repairs, all these things that this man has done. I mean, it's magnificent, the job that he's doing. But I think we should share that with more than just ourselves, if it's possible. I know Rich Penny is over there.
Yeah,
And
no, I
Rich
think-
probably would share it with the committee.
Well, and the Finance Committee and the town have made a remarkable investment
They have.
in sending $100,000 a year so that we're not getting to year 5 or 6 and finding ourselves needing to outlay millions of dollars. So, yeah, they do a remarkable job. I have a few comments on the reports also.
Yeah, the last one is probably just a comment. I look at the Dean's report and I see the tardiness. It's just miserable.
Well, I want to talk about that a little bit too.
Good, okay, Doctor,
Yeah.
then fine. That's all I had.
So, go ahead, Tom.
The only one I had I was just looking at is the baby grand piano.
Yeah.
Yeah, 920, yeah. Has that been approved?
getting that, the dolly for
Yeah.
the piano. I thought that was approved a long time ago,
Okay.
but we'll double check on that.
Okay, because it says as soon as it's approved, we can get there.
But that building project, and one of many things that blew my mind for that building project was the price of that piano.
Oh, yeah.
Some
crazy.
$35,000
Yep.
for a piano. We need to take care of.
Absolutely.
And on the technology stuff, we have a replacement plan, don't we?
We do. We have,
okay.
we have a plan. So I don't want to stop anyone else from commenting on the report, so.
Not
go ahead.
at all, other than I appreciate Dick highlighting that. I think that these reports have been great, and I think that, you know, it might be very productive and pragmatic of us to share this with the Finance Committee, and I have no problem with it at all. I don't know if anybody else feels about it.
Yeah, that's fine.
So I wanted to comment on a few of the reports. They're all very good. But the first one I wanted to comment on was the technology department. The number of trouble tickets that they have received and cleared since the year began is 605. They're replacing their own iPad screens. Chris Howe, Lisa Ryan, and Tim Wells, and a more efficient and dedicated crew you will not find anywhere. They're amazing. So we're very, very fortunate to have them. They definitely respect and get the most out of the taxpayer dollar that they can. I also wanted to mention, I won't steal Colleen's thunder, but Janet Tate and the daycare and the work that they're doing, I'm very, very pleased to see that. I next wanted to comment on the Dean's report from Mr. Damon. Last year, the high school went through a year-long study of attendance policy, and anyone who's worked in high schools will tell you there is no perfect attendance policy, yet everyone sort of has their opinion of how to fix it and make it better, and it'll work. So some changes went into effect at the beginning of this year, and the administration at the high school has been diligent in following through. And what you'll notice is, 64 tardies this term. But what you need to understand is that tardies, when they are punished, turn into Saturday detentions, which turn into suspensions. And it's very costly. The idea is if students aren't in class, they can't learn. But I also want to point out the tremendous pressure it puts on administration, the time constraint. So for every minute they're dealing with an attendance issue, it's time that they're not attending to, say, a social emotional issue or a behavioral issue or a curriculum issue. So it's all a yin and a yang. So they had 64 tardies, but I also want to appeal to the parents. I've heard nothing but good things about this freshman class, and every year you hear what a horror show the incoming freshman class is. It probably happens in every high school in the country. But I have not heard that. I've heard only positive things about this freshman class. But when I review the attendance, I do want to appeal to freshman students and freshman parents to be aware. We had 64 tardies in the month of October, November, and 24 of those tardies were freshmen. There were 110 Saturday detentions given in that time period. 48 of them went to freshmen. There were 38 suspensions that resulted from primarily not attending Saturday detention. 21 of those 38 were freshmen. So I encourage the student, and I can almost guarantee you that the suspensions, the Saturdays, and the tardies were probably from the same 15 kids. I am appealing to the parents to really help your kid. If they are tardy, it happens. Attend the Saturday. Don't blow off the Saturday so that you're suspended. You can't learn anything if you're home. But I also want to recognize the work of the administration, Kathy Paulding and Mr. Harrison and Mr. Damon, because a high school that runs as well as that you will not find anywhere. It's a safe, healthy, phenomenal atmosphere, and in part because people know what they can and can't do, and they do a tremendous job. 110 students at Saturday detention is no picnic for anyone. but they do a great job. So I just, again, freshman parents, anything you can do, and it's not just freshmen, but you are the vast majority of some of these issues. So to your point, Mr. Phelps, the attendance, we've really cracked down on it. The numbers look bigger. I don't believe there's any more tardy going on than there was a year ago, but we're enforcing the policy, and it results in suspensions.
Well, that's all we can ask. That's all.
Yeah, but they're doing a great job.
If they come in late and they have an excuse, you mark them excused, a tardy excuse?
Jeez, it
You
depends.
always have an excuse, Tom.
No,
Right.
there's some things like transportation, like a bus might be late.
Well,
Oh, well.
The bus is late, that's different. Then.
That's what I'm saying.
yeah,
So mark that.
if the bus is late, absolutely, but it's a very complex thing. The state basically says the only thing that is an excused absence is if you go to the doctor and you get an
Written note.
actual note.
Right.
So if you're a parent and your child's running a fever and you keep them home from school, we're supposed to not excuse that. Well, we've
We
said
do.
as a community we don't buy that,
Yeah.
and we are excusing those. So I think we have a very reasonable policy, but again, anything that parents can do, and I know sometimes that you're doing everything you can and you can't get that very large ninth grader to get out of bed or whatever, I get it. But they can't learn if they're not in school, so please support the administration and do everything they can at home.
It is kind of concerning that they lead in almost every category, except for like...
It is. It jumped out at me. But again, I think part of that is just an adaptation. But I've heard nothing but positive things about the freshman class. I think they're doing a great job. But this is something that I hope to see numbers go down in the future. So,
Glad to hear they're doing a great job. Certainly jumping from 8th grade to the high school is a big transition,
Huge.
and I hope by coming to the end of November now, we're starting to get our legs under us and get used to the routine, and
Yeah.
we'll hope that further on to the year, our freshman class will
I just
be getting right up.
I just go and, after you mentioned about the trouble tickets and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Do the students help with, is there a class, do students help with repairing it?
currently, no. No,
Okay,
but that's...
because of some of them, yeah,
Yeah.
some of them can really do, they know that stuff
Yeah.
really well. Okay.
I don't think we have anyone doing any kind of internships, but
Yeah.
that's a great idea.
Yeah,
'cause
even
that's
if
something...
you just make a class.
It's interesting to
Yeah,
the
it
kids.
is. I
too.
have kids doing that.
Yeah.
Mr. Mills, to address your question, we do have a 5-year technology plan.
Okay.
We do.
I thought we did, and I just, because we talked about that when the school was built,
Right.
because we needed to change it.
It's updated every year.
Okay, thanks.
I just want to also go on, the cable station here, Mr. Murphy, Dave Murphy, put in a report for the technology, not just technology, but the cable station. And I think sometimes, I know as the school and perhaps the community and perhaps even the school committee, we're not always aware of all the things, the benefits that we get from having this cable. This is a public access station attached to our school. And I know I've praised Dave Cable Murphy and the staff up and down, but the number of software updates and upgrades and the station software and the classroom software, not to mention the digital media, that the classes that are doing all their work. We have a student filming tonight. This is a program that exists. We're very fortunate, and I just want to take a minute to remind and to thank Mr. Murphy and his staff for their work, because it's incredible. And they're also, the digital media classes are working on a promo video that'll be hosted on the town's website. So I thought that was really neat. And then finally, I just wanted to congratulate the foreign language program department at the high school, Ms. Palmer, Ms. Shaughnessy, Mr. Finn, Mrs. Donovan, and Ms. Grenier at the middle school for attending the American Council of Foreign Language Teachers in Boston this month. That was a really big deal. It's something Stephanie Palmer worked hard on. And I can tell you, money that we invested was not wasted on sending them to this. I actually got text messages from a couple of the teachers after the sessions, so excited about the ideas that they're coming back with. And so I just want to thank the committee and also commend Ms. Palmer and her department for their work. We're very glad to see the foreign language program growing. That's all of my comments.
Can I just ask Dave a quick question? I saw in your, if you don't mind. Can you talk a little bit about the demonstration and the video on demand you're talking about implementing? About what you're going to use it for and those kind of things?
Yeah, actually, we've got those bids in hand already. It's a sole source. I shouldn't say bids. I've discussed it with the town accountant a couple of times. Currently, we use Latronics for streaming and video on demand for this meeting, athletic events. We've been running that software about 3 or 4 years now. And the technology is moving so quickly that we can make dramatic improvements, though the initial outlay is considerable, over $50,000. It will end up costing us less in terms of annual licensing fees to be able to do either live events or video on demand. And I'm specifically thinking about wanting that in place before the spring so that we can put the auction on the air live for the first time and hopefully increase our revenue as part of that as well. So the main infrastructure, it would take care of our playback on TV, anybody who's logging on to watch it on demand, as you can currently do, but then also present the opportunity to go live with it.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you, would you be able to, like, say you want to watch a school committee meeting or a selectmen's meeting, go on and watch it live through the computer and stream it that way?
Exactly.
Fantastic.
Whether or not we'd end up doing that with town meeting is another question entirely. Same thing with athletic events in terms of the gate, and we're not wanting to cut into attendance. But very much we do want to move toward getting these events on the air live.
That's great. I mean, it gives us a whole different level of access, which is so important to our community, to be able to take part, to be able to view school committee meetings, to be part of the conversation, to be able to spend money at our auction, hopefully. So that's great news.
I
I'm glad
guess,
to hear
Dave, the
that.
only thing I would say about the gate, and I do agree with you, but on the other hand, that gate, we may be able to offset if you're going to stream live with local advertising.
Sure.
That you'd be able to show that local advertising during a basketball game timeout or during halftime of a football game.
True.
You'd be able to sell local advertising. You may make more money than the revenue gate.
It's a conversation I'll certainly have with Mr. Graziano and the superintendent in the near future, as we look to do this. We're going to pick up that hardware anyway. It's just a wise move. The question is exactly how we go about deciding what we will go live with and what we won't. And if I might, I just want to point out that Dr. Cron was kind enough to mention the students who are working on a video for Town Hall, and Shannon here is one of the 2 students who are doing that, and the project really couldn't be in more capable hands.
Great. Thank you, Dave.
Thank you.
Good job, Shannon, too. Thank you, Dave. Appreciate it. So we have 18 motions for our reports.
Give a second.
18 seconds?
18 seconds. All those in favor? Aye. Those are 18 votes. Thank you very much. Under old business, for your information, we have completed fundraisers, a couple of very successful fundraisers. The Rogers Middle School PAC had a Meadow Farms fundraiser at which they raised $5,973.35. That's outstanding. The preschool PAC had a silent auction which brought in $2,483.33. That's outstanding work and great job by all
And
those
both of them
folks.
more than they expected, which is fantastic.
Absolutely great. Great job by our community coming out to support these efforts as well. Next on tonight's agenda, now we're looking at the folks from Rockland Youth Soccer and talking about the Esten Field, and I believe we have Mr. Burke with us here tonight. Dr. Cron?
Yes, I believe so. Hello and welcome.
First of all, my name is Kevin Burke. I'm the current president of Rockland Youth Soccer. I want to thank you for letting us come here to talk to you about our proposal that we submitted to the superintendent's office. As you may or may not be aware, we've had this organization for 41 years in the town. We currently reside at the Esten School fields. We've invested a lot of money, time, and volunteers on developing a program that best fits the children of the town. We've made numerous improvements to our field. As you know, about 6 years ago, we put in a new facility down there, concession stands. We hold our board meetings in there and utilize it for other activities, other town meetings and things like that for the soccer program. We've also spent a lot of money on an irrigation system. Probably about 8 years ago, we put in a well with the assistance of the Parks Department, obviously funded by us. All our funding and projects that we've done are Rockland Youth Soccer funded only. We've never used town funds for the program. They do assist on cutting lawns for us, but all field maintenance is done by Rockland Youth Soccer. 41 years has put a lot of toll on the field, and unfortunately, without water, we cannot continue to go the route we are. Currently, right now, the JV high school team is utilizing our field during the fall season for their soccer program, both boys and girls. At any given time, we have over 500 kids utilizing this field weekly. On any given day, we have over 100 kids per day just pounding on this field. We've also let other facilities use it. We've had summer camps run by the Youth Commission, Calvary Chapel. We gave permission to let them use the field when we're not using it. We've done so many more activities down there. Band uses it during the summer, but again, we do all the maintenance ourselves. So unless we get some type of water source on the field, we just can't keep up with the maintenance of the field. We recently utilized the same the fertilizing company that the school utilizes. That's out of pocket. We pay about $5,000 a year just to do that ourselves, but we can't do anything unless it rains. Obviously, this summer, as you can tell from all the fields, just got destroyed. I'm in constant contact with the Parks Department, and I know that the Reed Street Field is in really bad shape too as well. They ran out of water. We don't have that problem because we're kind of near of a deep well area with a river, so we have that water usage that we can use. So what we're proposing is that Rockland Youth Soccer put in full irrigation on the whole field, not just the soccer fields. We're talking about the whole facility. It's going to be funded by Rockland Youth Soccer at a cost of about $35,000. And that's phase one of the project as well. Obviously, we're going to do other improvements like bring in some dirt and try to fix up the area. Hydro seed, do all that. So we're looking for approval to install that system on the field. One, it's going to benefit Rockland Youth Soccer and as well as the school. Obviously, it's sad. It was embarrassment this year to have our kids play on that. I hear people snicker behind, like, these fields are horrible. And I hate seeing the kids having to play on that type of field. The only way we can do it is if we get water on that field and fix it up.
So I know there's some questions from the committee, but first of all, I want to thank you, gentlemen, for coming here tonight, first of all, but also for all that you've done, as you mentioned, over the last 41 years, all that Rockland Youth Soccer's done for those fields, our town, our kids. My two oldest boys play over at those fields and have a blast doing it. It's a great organization. One thing I think this effort that you bring forward is a great idea. I think any way that our school and our kids can benefit, we're all for. One concern I know I have, and I know that some others in the committee will share as well, is we are currently in the process of, we submitted a statement of interest to the state to build a new elementary school. And we are keeping our options open as far as what sites might be used, and we consider that to be a potential site for the potential building of a future new elementary school. So my only concern for you guys and for Rockland Youth Soccer is if you're going to make this substantial financial investment, and if down the road within the next year, a couple of years, we're going to be building a new elementary school there, I'd hate to have you, without the knowledge that this could be a risk, invest that kind of time and capital into a project like this if it might end up having to be removed.
Right. We're under the impression that we've heard this rumor going around. Well, it's not a rumor; it's more that an item that we've kind of discussed.
It was discussed at several meetings by the board, and our last vote of the board was to approve this project with the known risk that this exists.
Okay.
We have other risks involved here already with the building and the well and the shed and all of our use of the fields. So we know the shared risk, and we're willing to take it.
Okay, as long as you're aware.
Kids.
And I know there's some other questions that the committee has. Anybody else? Gentlemen?
That was my major concern. Other concerns is you picked a contractor, Sky Carriers Insurance,
Yes, he's here to represent his company.
and you folks would be willing to sign some kind of a hold harmless agreement that agrees the fact that what we just talked about, that boards change, committees change, people. And all of a sudden, 3 years from now, you guys aren't sitting around the table anymore. There's a whole bunch of new people, and they say, well, I don't care what they said. you're not ripping up our irrigation system, and there we go. So we need to have some legal documents drawn up to cover that situation
Absolutely.
that you folks would have to sign.
It's always been understood by Rockland Youth Soccer that any improvements that we make to that field are always at risk.
Well,
The property being owned by the town, the building, the well, the sheds, any permanent structures we have on that property are the possession of the town once we complete them.
You guys do a great job, believe me.
And the Parks
I-
Department makes a point to always remind us of that when we want to make some investment. Just
Right.
be it known that it's not yours when you're done.
Yeah, it is, it
And
is an
so-
embarrassment down there, I agree with you, it's
Yeah.
terrible out back there.
Right.
Being the field manager for the last 3 years, this was the worst out of the 3 years. I took on what was a decent turf for the first year and helped to try to rebuild what we had and move fields around to give the fields a chance to grow in other areas. And we established a really good stand of grass in most of the fields. And then we got struck with this drought this past summer, and due to a limited number of volunteers, broken down antiquated equipment that was donated by the Parks Department to us, we don't have the ability to get down there and spend 8 hours a week just watering fields. And it really, for the equipment that we had on hand, to make use of the well that we had, you need at least 6 hours a day to manage that equipment. So by taking the monies that the board has on hand and being a nonprofit, we have to spend this money. So how better than to invest the money then into the system and into the program and have an automated program? But again, knowing that we are at risk for having to be displaced from that field in the future.
I have to say, in my mind, and I may not be around when this happens, but it makes an awful lot of sense to have all the elementary schools in one site. Just saying.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So, and I know part of the perspective that you guys are coming from soccer is the safety of the kids and the surface that they're playing
Correct.
on, and we share that concern. We also share the concern about the safety of our kids in a lot of other ways. I imagine that when you might be doing this work, it might be at times when there might be children in the school building. So a concern of ours certainly would be that the people doing the work on school property would be Cory checked. If someone goes into the school to use the bathroom, if there's students that would be outside, we're concerned about the safety of our kids and who might be working in and around the schools when our kids are there.
Correct.
So what is the status there?
So that was discussed with the contractor, and they're well prepared to have their staff Cory checked.
Okay.
What the specific requirements are for Rockland, we were going to expect that to come from you as the board.
Okay.
We can do that.
Is it something
in the
that you
office.
process on your end for your contractors?
Yeah,
we do.
So any contractors on property, including out of the buildings, you require them to be Cory checked. So we would expect that coming from,
Well, honestly, the
same.
concern is that you guys are outside working, and the kids are outside on recess.
Right.
Correct.
And, I mean.
Right, no, it's absolutely understood. I mean, we're getting to the time of the year where, it's a little colder, but we know that the kids are still out there. Whether
Yeah, they don't wanna be locked
whether
up
it's
in the
gym or
building.
it's recess, whatever it is. But they're there, they will be there at the same time, and that's understood.
Now, when are you proposing that this work would begin?
At the earliest possible time. We have a small window. We can get the installation done before the ground freezes hard and be ready to go in the spring of 2017 and take use of it before we even start the season. Otherwise, we would have to be delayed until June of next year when the season is complete, and then progress into the start of the summer and utilize the program, the system. So the idea for us is we want to have a stand of grass next season, so if we can get it done and get it done quickly now, we'd like to do that.
How long will it take?
About a week.
Okay.
So I guess my only question goes back to the other thing is, we should probably know whether we're even going to move forward to the next step on this new elementary school project, what, December?
Yep.
So you're basically potentially talking about a month. I know you're trying to gain, I understand, and I understand what you're trying to do, but are you guys sure that they're ready for the risk that it could be, we could tell you yes tonight, and 4 weeks from now, we could be moving on with this project, and you could put this in a year, you got to take it out again. We may know in December if we're not moving forward, then you may be looking, hey, we'd be golden for the next 5 years. So that's something, I mean, we're supposed to know that soon.
That was discussed at 2 board meetings. The vote on our decision to expend the money was tabled just for that reason, because people had concerns, and I know that they made inquiries I think, Dan, to you, I mean, we have a finance committee member on our board who raised a lot of concern. It's a risk we have to take. But I can tell you, coming off of this season, our fields are condemned, effectively condemned. They are not in playable condition, nor will they be in playable condition without the availability of water. So our YS, as it stands right now, may not have fields to play on next season if we don't do something about it. So we have a lot to lose if we don't do anything.
I do have another question, Mr.
So
it's not really
there's an acknowledged risk, and we take a big risk in it.
As long as you
So-
guys want to sign it, you understand that.
Yeah.
That's what I understand what Mr. Phelps saying. 3 years from now, you guys are all gone and somebody else is.
We're gonna have a much bigger issue than losing our irrigation system if that happens.
No, that wouldn't necessarily be true because then we would have new fields where the Memorial Park is in that area now and you
Right,
guys
but
would be
we'll be
start over.
displaced for 2 years waiting for construction and.
Well, I understand that,
and
but I think
development of new
everybody's
fields.
going to go through that if we have a new
Yep.
project, wherever it goes.
Yep.
I do have one other question, though, Mr. Burke. In the future, can you do me a favor? You made a comment about Calvary Chapel. Can you run any of those things by the superintendent's office? That property belongs to Rockland Public Schools.
Correct.
And
We
you
don't-
guys, we know you guys use it. That's okay. You guys have
Right.
permission to use it. But we really need to know
We
who
don't,
else.
we don't make those arrangements. All the arrangements done for the field are done through the Parks Department.
And we need to talk to Peter in the Park Department, because, I mean, we should know if Calvary Chapel's on public school property versus regular, I mean, they're up the Little League field, the Park Department runs a Little League field. They run Reed Street Park.
Correct. My assumption of the program and according to the
No,
Parks.
I just
is-
happened to catch that out of your thing.
Yeah,
It's
no,
just
that's
like-
fine. That's fine, but,
Yeah, our involvement with them is limited to coordination of what available times
Right.
we
Yeah,
have.
I mean, I know those kids, they practice
then-
behind Rite Aid right now. I've seen
Yeah.
them
Right.
practice.
Yeah, because
Not
if anything, the Parks Department asks, is anybody using the field, and we say no. And that's it. We have no involvement about scheduling any other entities to use the field. We just give permission on whether or not we're there or not.
Right, that's it. It's just
Yeah.
giving availability. We tell everybody else, whoever comes to us, you gotta go to the Parks Department for a
Right.
permit. We don't have authority to issue a permit to use the
Correct.
field.
I know you guys run a well, but this came up all summer. Have you run this by the water department? And I understand you're on your own well, but the water department was on, even on people with wells, about trying to limit well use because the aquifer was running into public water systems and was any water coming out of there. Have you run this by them at all?
As far as us using an irrigation system or using our well at all?
No, using I understand it's attached to a well, but if you follow the water department all summer, they were even on people that had wells about how much you use the wells because it does affect the town water supply from those wells.
No, we haven't had any conversations with the water department to this point.
Okay, that's fine.
But I mean, water conservation all around for everybody is something that everybody has to do. So
It
that's
might be,
part,
as Mark said, it might be a good idea just to run it by them. They may say, okay, obviously they'll let Peter go up here at the stadium.
Right.
And they may say,
Just let 'em know
based
that
on
it's
what you
going
do.
on, you know.
Let them
Yep.
know what's going on,
That's
because
fine.
you don't want to put this thing in, then we have another drought year next year and they shut you down. Then you really, all 35 grand with no
I think it's a
water.
great
If
idea.
we have another drought, I don't think that's gonna be the only issue.
I mean,
Yeah,
the
I'm
fields
sure.
are bad, I agree with you. Reed Street's bad, the lower oval's
Right.
bad, those fields
Yeah.
are bad.
Yeah.
Little League fields are bad. They got a little luck, some of their back corner ones are pretty wet all the time anyways. So
Makes
they
you feel
survive
any
a
better
little
though, a lot of the towns, I chase my grandchildren, and a lot of them are bad.
no, we
Yeah.
travel.
Not as
We
bad
do
as
see
this
it. We
though,
know
I
it.
agree.
We do too, so.
But I think we all appreciate what you guys do, and we appreciate this particular effort, and certainly we appreciate you sitting up here taking our questions tonight. But our perspective is to make sure everything's good for our kids as it is yours, but also just to make sure that you guys understand exactly sort of where we are in our process for our statement of interest with the elementary school. And,
Correct.
so it's something that I certainly would support. So thank you guys for being here with us tonight.
Thank you, Ernie.
Alan. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, just,
Thank you. Thanks for all you do, too.
Thank you.
yeah, thank you very much for what you do. The youth soccer dovetails right into our athletic programs in the schools. I also want you to know that if we do a building project, an elementary building project, one thing that has come up is just the general need for the town for field space. And I really hope that we can work together, going forward to try to expand that space and to work cooperatively in any way we can. I just want you to know that, in my thinking is that if we can work together, we can get better fields and programs going for all the kids. So
Yeah, like, we're fully on board with that. And, as long as we get the fields up and running and we can keep that constant stream of water, we can
Right.
utilize those fields, and it becomes a non-issue. But until we get there, you know what I mean, we're right there with you, so.
With the MSBA, the deal is they will pick up a percentage of our costs, right? That's the deal. But that doesn't keep us from expanding our project and say adding 2 additional fields that we pay for.
Right.
The town pays for. And I think it's important that we work together to appeal to the town for additional field space. And additional gym space is another thing that's come up. Our senior citizens use it,
Right.
our kids use it, we can rent it. So I think of a building project as a community project, and I would really want you guys involved going forward.
Sure.
We also have that new passage, the Community Preservation Act. And it can be used for fields as long as they maintain them as grass. So it can't be used for artificial turf.
Right.
But it can be used for grass fields, so that's something else down the road that, like Dr. Cron talked about, we have 8 tennis courts because we put construction material there, so the state paid to replace those. If we happen to put a school where those fields are, the state would pay to replicate the fields that were missing somewhere else.
Right.
So it, the potential for new fields hopefully is really, really good if we can get this project moving forward.
That'd be fantastic.
Yeah.
Because we did look into we got some prices from outside sources of turf and all that, but way out of our fundraising budget, so.
Yeah.
And you guys know with the last proposal for the new field over at the Oval, and it's expensive even to do artificial turf, so.
Make a motion to approve this request.
I make a mo-
Could I, before we do-
amend the motion.
Yeah, me too. I think that we should amend it, as long as we have the letter that we're talking about that will hold us irresponsible.
And that the contractors work as a
Our
quarterly
quarry
check
checks,
through the school
exactly.
department.
That our attorney could draw up, right?
Right.
So I think with those 2 contingencies.
Yeah, with those amendments.
So
I'd
Tom, your
second
motion
that.
is, so Tom, your motion is,
To amend, yeah.
To approve.
Pass and approve it, request with those amendments.
do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Thank you very much,
Thank
gentlemen.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Great
guys.
night.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Bless you.
Thank you.
Okay, next on tonight's agenda, the FY '18 Budget Development Timeline. Dr. Cron.
Skipped right over my suit. Do you want to do goals?
Oh, go ahead, sorry. Go ahead, do your goals.
That's
I'm
okay.
I'm skipping everywhere tonight.
That's all right. Okay.
I am, indeed.
Um,
It's the mustache.
Maybe he doesn't want you to have any goals.
It's a stroll hangover.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it.
That's all right.
It's the facial hair. right.
Exactly.
So I'm going to apologize ahead of time for the length of this, but I am going to go through it very quickly. But there are some things on here that I sort of want to get on the record, and I want the community to understand a little bit about these goals, but I will not read every slide to you, I promise. So I have 2 professional practice goals to lead an inclusive process in the development of our strategic plan, and we've been working on that since August. To implement the Department of Education's administrator evaluation system, and I will talk to you about that. Student learning goals really continue to increase computer science, coding, and robotics throughout the district. Second student learning goal, facilitate inclusive, organized, and transparent process to maximize our chances of getting a new elementary school. And finally, publish the district's emergency plan and distribute it to every classroom. So I'll go through these. This is our strategic plan. This is the timeline just through to, do I have a little pointer doohickey here?
Yes.
Woo! All right. Nice, nice. Blind.
Now he can't
Yeah, I seared my retina. Thanks, Dave. So I just this work began in August with a retreat, about 21 members, and not just teachers, but Mark Sham, Dave Cable Murphy's involved in this process, our representatives of really all of our constituencies, beginning this process of asking important questions about the district. I won't go into this because, as you'll see down here, Ms. Bond and I will be back on December 12th to present our work to date. And in that presentation, I will walk you through the work that we have done so far. But it's been a very, very exciting process so far. It's been a great process for me to get to sort of use as part of my entry plan. and the work it's been exciting. We even had a meeting this afternoon to do this work, to complete our vision, and so it's pretty exciting. This is the final phases of this will bring us through to this Saturday, the 29th of April, where we'll have a retreat with, if we go back here, there are 3 committees. There's a senior leadership team that's just the principals and the directors. There's a steering committee with 20 members. That's directors and lead teachers. And then there's the strategic planning committee, which is 35 to 40 members. This will have members representation from the school committee, perhaps a selectman, someone who's an at-large townsperson. We want representation from all constituencies, students. And this is when we will be doing our final work. And what we'll end up with after this Saturday work is our final strategic improvement plan. It'll guide the district for the next 3 to 5 years. My goal with this, having been through this process as a teacher, as an assistant principal, and now as a superintendent, is I do not want this to be a bunch of words on paper that mean absolutely nothing. And it's very easy for that to happen. It can happen with no ill intent on anyone's part, no laziness. It can just happen because you get busy with the day-to-day. But this work is going to guide what we do. It's going to allow us to say yes to things and no to other things. It's going to allow us to really focus when we say to teachers, yes, I know there are 55 things falling out of the sky that you're worried about, but just worry about these 3. And that's really what the point of all of this is. So I'm very excited about this work. It's going very well so far. I asked Beth Bond to assist me in this process, so she's been doing some subcommittee work, and so far so good. So I wanted to give you a little bit of background on that. My next goal is the administrator evaluation system with principals, curriculum leaders, and program leaders. So I am personally evaluating the following people: my assistant superintendent, Colleen Forlizzi, Linda Maniglia, our pupil personnel director, our literacy coach, Karen McKinnon, and our district STEM specialist, Lisa Ryan, and finally, our 5 building principals. So I am going through the whole process with them. I highlighted the 5 building principals because, in my opinion, they are my department heads now. As a principal, I had department heads. I held them accountable for the work that was or was not happening in their departments. I now have principals. They are the main change agents, the main instructional leaders of each of our buildings. And so I'm working closely with them, and I really believe that the more our principals are able to help our teachers get better, the better school we will be. So this is sort of the philosophy that I'm working under. So some of the things that I'm going to do with them, the evaluation process, there's a self-assessment, goal setting, mid-cycle check-in, and all that good stuff that every teacher does. And this is my process with you, the school committee, so I'm doing it as well. School visits every 6 weeks or so, and I will be with a building principal co-observing classes or watching them run a meeting. We will debrief, we will work together. My job is to try to increase their capacity, their skills at running effective meetings, setting goals, clearly looking at data and making their teachers better. Bi-monthly admin team meetings, and this is where we get together, and yes, we talk about some of the making the trains run on time, but it's also important that those meetings talk about some of our priorities around professional development and problem solving, things like that. And then we're going to have our first learning walk next week, where our administrative team is all going to gather at the middle school. There'll be 10 of us. And in pairs of 2, we're going to go to classrooms and observe, and we're looking for specific practices that may or may not be happening. This is not an evaluation, and I'm sending a letter out to all the teachers in each building before we get there. In fact, we're going to frame these visits in terms of the work that the Strategic Planning Committee has been doing. So we're going to be looking for evidence of our core values in action in the classroom. It's not evaluative. At the same time, I want our teachers to be comfortable with administrators coming in and out. We're not there to get you. We're there to see what's going on, to help you see what's going on, so on and so forth. So that's the administration process. That's the evaluation process. To increase computer science, coding, and robotics throughout the district. So I wanted to just a little background so that people are aware. So this is a quote from Lisa Gryan. I got this just last night. Computer science has been a long-term goal. She first spoke to John Retchless 8 or 9 years ago when he first started. It was never implemented before budgeting and interest. Lisa went on to say, we're very lucky to have Angela Armstrong. She has a background in computer science because without her, it would have been difficult, let me say probably impossible, to find someone with her qualifications, given that the job market in the private sector is so lucrative for CS, computer science majors. I highlighted that because I want our kids to be computer science majors if they so choose, because I want them to have the option of earning a six-figure salary right out of college. And without us having a program that can show kids what's possible, they won't have that aspiration. So I wanted to point that out. That last statement is why this work is so important. I want our kids to have those options. It is the future. It's not going away. It's not a fad. Programming, computer science, these are going to be very lucrative careers for people long into the future. Cybersecurity, and it's just... so computer science last year, all students in 3 and... Now this is work that Lisa Ryan has essentially done with the cooperation of a whole lot of paraprofessionals. And she's amazing. And she and Tim Wells work together, but Lisa Ryan is our classroom connection. So we had all students in grades 3 and 4 participate in the Hour of Code. That was last year. All students in 3 and 4 participated in course 2 and 3 at code.org. That's a 20-hour class. That's all grades 3 and 4. This is one person with the cooperation of classroom teachers. Some students in 5, 6, and 8 did Hour of Code through their tech class with Deb Worth at the middle school and several class periods. And some students in 7 did their Hour of Code through Science Extension with Ellen Smith, who's a science teacher, but she has embraced this work. That was last year. This year, all students in grade 3 are getting 10 class periods, including course 2 and a Star Wars Hour of Code with Lisa Ryan. And all of this work can be found at code.org. And this will be up on the website for anyone who wants to go back, because I know I'm sort of flying along, because I feel guilty reading slides to you. All students in grade 4 will get approximately 10 class periods, code.org's course 3 and MIT's Scratch for the Hour of Code with Lisa Ryan. And enrichment includes course 4 and MIT's Scratch. All students in 5, 6, and 8 will get 10 class periods that include code.org's and 3 and 4 Hour of Code with Deb Worth through her technology class, and then enrichment in MIT's Scratch. And finally, in our team 7A will get approximately 10 class periods using the Hour of Code. And again, this is free, freeware, but it's the standard.
It's extensive.
It's extensive, it's standard, but without someone like Lisa Ryan, who's amazing, and someone like Angela Armstrong, who's willing to, here's a science teacher who said, I have a computer science background, I'll try it. And she's done an amazing job. So I also wanted to point out, because I know I'm not talking so much about robotics, but this is the program of studies for this year. We started intro robotics, I don't know now, 4 years ago, 5 years ago. We're now running intro robotics, and this year we added computer science 1 and computer science 2. In addition, we have engineer your world, and we're also offering CAD. So all of these classes are contributing to this family of courses, trying again these are interesting courses for the kids as well. But this is something that if a kid does get into this, there's a job out there for them. There's a job out there, and in fact, there are people who will fight over them for their jobs. So I want to thank, again, Lisa Ryan, Deb Orth and Ellen Smith at the middle school, and I have Ellen Smith in quotations because she's a science teacher, but she has embraced this. Kim Windsor, she's a computer room para at Memorial Park. Rachel Gear, computer room para at Esten. I have the FL on the side because she's on family leave, and Lisa says she can't wait until she gets back. She misses her. And Maureen Clark. These aides listed here at the bottom, and Deb Orth for that matter, had no computer science background whatsoever. They learned how to facilitate this work in Lisa's absence. So Lisa last year, when she had to be pulled to administer park exams for 20 days, they continued these programs without her. And I think that that's the kind of ambitious willingness to take on something new that we need. We could not do this without those paraprofessionals being willing to try these things and extend themselves. So I'm really appreciative of that. I also don't know if everyone knows, but Lisa maintains an amazing instructional technology webpage that you can get to from our main page, but there is a link here at the bottom. So again, if you're looking for any of these tools, she has organized all these tools. She publishes a I can't read it from the side, but apps of the month, resources of the month. So if you're a parent and you're looking for something to help your kids, if you're a kid and you're looking for something to do, she maintains a great website. And again, these things I think can easily get buried. I want the public to know about them, and I want to make sure that you guys all know about them. So, and finally, publishing the district's emergency plan. We began 3 years ago meeting with Chief Duffy and meeting with Lieutenant Zioli from the police department, and now we have Ethan Schnabel at the high school with each building principal, and Colleen's involved, so that we could bring together our emergency management issues, make sure that we're ready for any kind of a situation that comes up. And we've done, most of our principals now have done the incident command system, ICS training, thanks to Scott Duffy. He set that up for us. But I want the public to know, and I want the school committee to know that we don't talk about it a lot because it's scary, but I want you to know that we are talking about it. And we are doing our best to be prepared for what we hope will never happen. And even though we hope to be prepared, we know that you can never be prepared. So by bringing these groups together and meeting, and we've run tabletop exercises. Well, what if this happens? What would you do? So we've had 2 of those so far. We want to continue those this year. So as part of my goal, and this is the unified command structure that we use, that we've agreed upon with Scott Duffy and the police department. We are looking at Alice training. In fact, today Marilyn Smith, our Esten principal, was at Alice training. Kathy Paulding is spearheading this exercise since my moving from the high school principal position to this position. I've asked Kathy to take over for me. I was chairing that committee last year. Kathy went to Alice training over the summer and said, that's the way to go. I said, great, that's the way to go. So we are looking at Alice training, which is, it's not a whole lot different than what we've been saying. It infuses this idea of common sense. If you know the problem is on that side of the building, don't feel like you have to lock yourself in a room and wait for somebody to come and hurt you. So we're going to have all of our principals engage in this, and then the plan is hopefully in the fall we'll begin Alice training for all teachers throughout the district. But one part of this is our entire emergency management system is going to be placed on this type of a booklet. And this booklet will be hung in every occupied space in every classroom throughout the district. So I have former Superintendent Retchless on special assignment. He's been beating up the vendors on pricing for this. Last year and the year before that, we began revising all of the work. But this is what I hope to have in every classroom by the end of the year, and that's why it's one of my evaluation goals. But there is a price tag. It's probably, what we're looking at is approximately $9,000 to put it in each classroom. But I just kind of wanted to bring everyone up to speed on that. And that's it. So I wanted to say also, I want any questions. I want you to have time to think about these. And if the committee wants to table and come back with questions or recommendations, things that you'd want me to add or whatever, I want you to have time to digest it all. It's a lot. So that's it.
So I, for one, found your valuation goals to be exciting and your description of them comprehensive. So very, very well done. And I think that your suggestion about us considering tabling it this meeting is a good one, especially to give Mrs. Henderson the opportunity to review it and have the committee be able to digest it a little bit. And if there's any questions or further questions or things they want to add to it, we could do that down the road. Anybody have thoughts?
Motion to table.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Dr. Cron.
Thank you.
Very ambitious.
Yeah,
That code, though, I use.
well laid out though, looked great.
Yeah, the technology stuff's, I mean, particularly exciting. I mean, I heard you say it's the future, and it is, but it's not only the future, it's the present. I mean, these things are here now. These are careers that exist now. The kids are coming out of college now and getting that six-figure salary that you were describing. But I think for our kids, it's exciting as well, not only for the job part, but for applications to colleges and
Right.
different career choices that they might be making that they weren't even aware of had these offerings not been available
Absolutely.
at Rockland High School. So
And we have some
good stuff.
world-class people working in this district.
Oh, we sure do. We sure
are,
do.
We are, I pointed out Mr. Murphy. There are things that exist in this district that only exist because of the expertise of Mr. Murphy, Mr. Wells, Ms. Ryan. In those specialized areas, those are expensive, well-paid, positions that, and because they're here, our kids get exposed to it. So we're very fortunate.
I mean, all the way down the line, right to our paraprofessionals stepping right up to
Absolutely.
learn. And it's
Yeah.
good stuff. Fantastic.
I would suggest, if you like, I use code.org all the time. It's very extensive. It covers a whole wide range of things. Next week is Hour of Code,
Yep.
international, all over the world. And you can go down there and take a look at it. I have my grandchildren, using it. Just go on the code.org. It has a whole variety of levels, and they're constantly updating that thing. And it's fun, and I use it all the time. It's really extensive, and also they supply all the whole subject matter and the curriculum for both the Exploring Computer Science and for the new AP Principles course.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so next on today's agenda, in proper order, is the FY18 budget development timeline. Dr. Cron.
So we plan to present a preliminary budget on December 12th to the school committee. And again, as it reads, December 14th, we will follow up our initial presentation to the school committee with a presentation to town accountant, town administrator, and finance committee. In December, we'll meet with finance committee liaison Rich Penny to review all of these things. I don't know, I don't want to necessarily read to you. But I don't know if Colleen has anything. Ms. Forlizzi,
No,
sorry.
just working on it hard now for our fiscal 18 budget. We're preparing it.
Any questions?
Motion to accept?
We have a motion to accept. Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
That's a vote. Thank you very much. Next on tonight's agenda is approval of fundraisers. The Rockland High School has two fundraisers. We have a fundraiser for the Harvard Model Congress, which is going to be a bake sale in November. And the Guatemala Service Learning Trip has a babysitting fundraiser that will be held in December.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Thank you. That's a vote. Next on tonight's agenda, the after-school daycare program, and I believe Mrs. Forlizzi has some things to share with us on that.
Yes, I just want to highlight that the daycare budget is in the black, which you saw when you looked at the financial report, and because of that, it's not funding the day program. So we're able to offer enrichment programs now to the after-school program for the kids, and so I'll have a calendar of that next meeting for you to see. But we're able to use that money now to actually do some enrichment programs for the after-school kids.
Great.
So,
Excellent.
Good to see a lot of good things happening at the daycare.
There is, absolutely
It seems
is.
that for all the difficulty we went through, it seems that it was an exercise to make it a better place.
and it's getting there.
Enrollment's
Absolutely
up.
is. Enrollment's
I
up.
see they were very active in the Christmas stroll the
Yeah.
other night. They're taking
Wide
part in our
open.
community. They're in the black, so things are looking good at the daycare.
Yep,
Great.
very much so.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Ferlizzi.
Okay.
Next on the agenda is personnel information for October and November. I think, Dr. Cron, you had some comments about this?
I don't know that I do, but I can probably make something up.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you
No,
said
that's
that you did.
okay. Just,
Appointments, right?
I don't, we had some new appointments, we had 2 resignations, but I don't have any specific comments.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Very good. Okay, thank you very much. Next on tonight's agenda, I would love to hear from our fabulous student representative, Miss Shannon Lindahl. Do you have any questions about anything that happened tonight, Shannon, or concerns, or is there anything that you'd like to share with us from the student body?
I would just like to share that we had a few drives going on this month that were successful. National Honor Society ran a drive for toiletries for veterans, and that went well. And then our student government ran the turkey trot to get donations for the food pantry for Thanksgiving.
Fantastic.
Very good.
That's great. Great job. Thank you. Thanks for being with us here again in every meeting that we have. And next up on the agenda is public service announcements. Mr. Mills.
Yeah. Just like to thank everybody that that put together the stroll and everything else. I mean, that was very nice. It was. We were walking down, and my wife said, "There's a big crowd here." It was well attended. It was interesting and it was fun. And the weather was pretty good. Yeah, I like to do that. And that I hope everybody has a good holiday season coming up and Thanksgiving. Yeah.
Mr. Norris.
Just a few things. Again, thank Pam Murphy and her whole committee for a fantastic stroll. Everything went well. The only incident that I thought we were going to have when Mr. Biggin's dog Millie disappeared from his dad for about 2 steps away, and I thought his father was going to go into a full panic. But it was an unbelievable crowd. And yeah, they had 2 magic shows that the Youth Commission ran, and I guess they were full both sessions, so it extended down that far, which was absolutely fantastic. The fall season wrapped up in sports and the band, and I'll tell you, it's been awesome. The band has gotten better as the year's gone on and gotten better from the past few years, listening to them at the football games. It was really great, and they got to play their final time at a football game on Thanksgiving Day, which was a lot of fun. We had quite a few All-Stars. We had 4 boys and 3 girls in soccer All-Stars. We had 4 cheerleading All-Stars, who the cheerleaders once again won a state title, so congratulations to them. And we had a boys and a girls cross-country All-Star, and then we had 3 boys for the All-Stars. So that stuff was all, again, fantastic. And today, winter sports started. I think the hockey team was probably out on the ice about 4:30, 5 o'clock this morning. So that's gonna get going. So I hope now time to support the winter sports. It's been fantastic. But lastly, I want to say we had 2 new coaches this fall. We had Lauren Rosati and Dan Kimball, both taking over the soccer programs, filling shoes that were difficult to fill. But I want to tell you, they both did an absolutely fantastic job. Especially the girls battled right to the end, lost 2-1 in East Bridgewater in the South Finals. Couldn't be more proud of the coach and the kids, and what a great job they did. So I'm looking forward to their success in the future. So with that, I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Phelps.
Just to echo one of Mark's statements about the high school band, I've had the opportunity this fall to travel around a little bit to some bigger high schools. I'll tell you, our band is better than any high school that I went to in this area. I'm talking about the next league up, the Patriot League. We not only have better musicians, we have better numbers. Believe it or not, we have more kids in our band than, I'll name them, Silver Lake, Whitman Hanson, Abington, all of these towns around us. Our music program is really on the way up. I'm thrilled with that. But having said all that, 'tis the season. Enjoy and love your family. Say hi to your neighbor once in a while. As I say, 'tis the season to be merry.
Thanks, gentlemen. And just to echo what some of us have already talked about already, the stroll, what a just wonderful event. I mean, it really is sort of the quintessential Rockland event, I think. Businesses coming out to pull together for a community event, organizations, fraternal organizations, our own daycare, our schools. And my family, I can't tell you how much we look forward to welcoming our community and our friends and neighbors into our home every year. The fact that you all allow us and welcome us to host the North Pole at my family's business is something that means a lot to us. It's in my particular business, it's not one that we have a lot of smiling faces come in the door all the time, and it's a little bit different. And it's just really fantastic to see the kids in our town and their parents come in and have that wonderful family time. It's a great event. Pam Murphy, I can't say enough about Pam Murphy. Pam's been doing this for years and years and years and years, and it just keeps...
23rd, I think.
23rd year, yeah. And she's threatening that it's going to be her last year. Every year I hear it, but nonetheless, every year it just keeps getting better and better. She's awesome. She's one of Rockland's finest, I would say. She's one of the people that make us all tick around here. And her whole team, Kathy Stewart, Christine Murphy, just the whole team. Everybody really does a fantastic job. One of the events that really makes you proud to be from Rockland. With that, that's everything I've got. So we'd like to entertain a motion to conclude our regular school committee meeting to adjourn into executive session. Do we have a motion?
You gotta poll the committee, one by one.
Poll the committee, excuse me. Tom?
Approve. Yep. In favor.
Yes.
Mr. Norris?
In favor?
Mr. Phelps? Aye. Thank you very much, ladies and
That's not
gentlemen.
to come back in the regular session.
Correct, and not to return to regular session. Thank you very much, and happy holidays.